Are you done saying terrible things?
No, I'm not. I'm never done, Jared.
In that case, then you should not start recording.
Can't stop, won't stop. Whoop, whoop.
All right, let's do this. You
It's a
ready?
secret. Yeah, sure. Got the birds congregating. Got a couple visitors. Socially distanced visitors eating their bird seed. Cloudy day today. A little overcast. In case you came for the weather for a random day in a place where you are not currently at, so it's not very helpful for you. But hey, we hope you have some nice weather where you're at and you can relax and enjoy your day, morning or evening or whatever time it is that you catch us. And with that, I am happy to say hello and welcome to the Untranslatable podcast. We are here recording episode 215, and today we are talking about media literacy and media influence as well, because I think this is a very important topic, especially, I hate to sound like a broken record here, Jared, but especially during the current times. I think it's more important now than ever. I know that sounds very clickbaity-esque, but that, people know how to be have a sense of media literacy, because it's easy to get swayed by the news media. And I'm saying left and right. I'm not here to just bash on Fox and Friends. I'm here to bash on, CNN does clickbaity stuff too. All those media sites do. So how can you get the facts and the information and not get pulled into what the media wants you to feel or think? I guess, not to sound like some weird red pill conspiracy theorist guy right now, but, that's at least what I'm planning on talking about a little bit. And the media's influence as well, because I think there's some media and cultural influence going on as well. But without further ado, the man that makes this whole thing run and the dude that always comes bringing the heat, bringing the fire, my good buddy Jared. What's going on, Jared?
Hello. Today I literally did bring the heat. The heat's out now. It has turned into a gorgeous day in a matter of 3 seconds.
Michigan weather for you.
You said it was overcast when this podcast started, didn't you?
Hey, weather is subject to change. That is why I'm not a full-time weatherman, Jared.
Media literacy, as you call it, media lit. Because apparently that's some
We're
class.
getting media lit today, my man.
That's some class you took in high school?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Media. So they had a whole class in high school.
Introduction to media literacy, correct.
And it was how to properly assess
different forms
sources.
of media. Mm-hmm.
And interesting.
So we looked at commercials, news, music, film. All these things are different types of media. And, you have to kind of learn how to analyze them and critique them and understand them.
It's like a more active, it's sort of like a more useful current events class almost.
Yeah.
I've never heard of something like that before.
It was great. It was an elective, first of all.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't your standard rung-of-the-mill high school class.
Chad is so afraid. How is pulling it in 3 inches going to actually... See, all right, stop. The wind's...
All right.
Any slight breeze and Chad is so afraid that this thing is just going to rip off the wall.
We have an awning above us, people, in case you're curious.
See, now it's no longer windy at all.
Right. That's true. Anyways.
Oh, God.
So yeah, it was a fun high school class. That was by far one of my favorite teachers in high school as well. Shout out to Mr. Martello. He was amazing.
I've never heard of that class before, but that class seems like it kind of has to be... when I hear it, I'm like, oh, yeah, I could imagine that being fun in high school. It actually allows you to, look at actual things happening in media today. And so you're sort of analyzing things that you might normally be looking at anyway or avoiding with a more critical eye, which I think everyone in the U.S. and the world probably could do today.
Right. Well, some places in the world you can't always do that, Jared.
Sure, that's true. But
places where you can, I think you should, and I think it's a very important skill to have. Media literacy. There's a lot of stuff out there. We are bombarded with information on a daily basis.
Yeah.
There's a 24-hour news cycle.
Yeah.
You get social media stuff. You have Twitter. You have Instagram. You have Facebook. You have MySpace. If you're one of the real OGs, Jared, you would be in my top 8.
That's where the unbiased news comes from.
That's right. Purely MySpace. So yeah, and I think it's useful too from me as someone who studied humanities in college.
Mm-hmm.
From a humanities standpoint, I think media literacy is very important.
Yeah, Yeah, yeah. Well, we'll get to that later. For now, obviously,
Spread a little love.
or rather, I should say, not obviously. That's rude.
Пожалуйста.
Please follow us on Instagram, Untranslatable Podcast. You can follow us on Twitter, Untranslatable1, the number 1. Your boy's tweeting now. It's actually a lot easier than I thought. You know, at first I was like, oh man, I gotta say something. Like, I don't want to say something like stupid. But then I'm like,
Who
oh no, that's
cares?
what it all is.
Yep, that is literally.
Have
what
you
Twitter
enjoyed
is.
the things I've been tweeting?
It's been fun.
What about you saw the one with the Chinese outfits? And I
Yeah,
was like, Chad
the
really
drip,
needs to step up his
the drip.
game.
Speaking of that, I still haven't gotten confirmation when, but my stuff is being shipped.
Oh yeah,
From China still. We probably 4, 5, 6 episodes back we
Brilliant.
briefly talked about it. It's slowly coming. I got some Chinese drip coming my way, Jared.
Really?
I do. Oh yeah.
Oh man.
I think I may have sent you some pictures of me wearing a pink flannel. It was a pink and blue flannel.
Pink and blue flannel. Okay, yeah.
I'm
Don't you have
sure
a few
you've seen
different colors
pictures.
of those?
I do, because it was this one place where I used to get ice cream in Jinan.
This is where you got the flannel from?
Yeah, well, not at the ice cream
Oh.
place. It was like a couple of
Okay.
shops down. It was like in this busy shopping district where I lived.
Okay.
And the woman was super helpful. And what was interesting is in a lot of shops in China and probably other places in Asia, from my understanding of different Asian cultures, they, I bought the shirt, and then she was grabbing all sorts of other stuff, and try this, try
You'll
this,
like this, yeah.
and
check this out.
and at first I talked to a couple of my Chinese friends and a few of my American friends and asked them, well, why is she doing this? Like, is she trying to sell me all this, right? Like, I'm wondering, me as a foreigner being, only 2 months into my trip in
This is a
China,
trick.
I'm like, is she just trying to, what is? And then my American friends confirmed she was just trying to be helpful, and they do that to show, in case you do like anything else.
Right. And showing you all the options.
Right, and she was grabbing it in my size too. It wasn't like us fishing. She just
Right.
grabbed it.
Did she just sized you up, or did you have to tell her?
Pretty much sized me up. Yeah, because I told her, well, I'm a large in the U.S. Usually medium with some stuff, but mediums are a little tight.
Yeah.
So usually a large, and I'm a 3X in China. In case you're curious.
What the hell was that?
That was my speaker.
Oh.
Yeah, 3XL in China, Jared.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yep. So anyways, they have the Chinese drip. So I'm hoping to bring some of that here to the States. And the funny thing about those flannels, though, Jared, is they have at first I just thought it was a plain flannel. So at first I was like, okay, whatever. But on the back of it, it said, "Oh shoot, what did it say?"
Oh, I remember this.
It's because I
Yes.
wore it. I wore it on the podcast, actually.
Yeah, I remember.
I'll
this.
have
I
to
don't
go
remember
back
what
on
it said
YouTube
now
and see now,
either,
but it was it was like a funny kind of slogan. It was like push harder or work harder or like something like that. I'll see if I can dig and find it.
Okay.
Because it's got. But the funnier thing
I mean,
about it is,
hopefully you'll have it soon.
right. But it had English and then it had Korean characters below it.
Huh.
And I asked a friend of mine who is Korean to read it, and she said, "Yeah, it looks like someone put this through like a translation app and just put it on the shirt." So
I mean, that makes sense because they don't understand Korean. It's kind of the same thing where it's like sometimes you see shirts there that just have straight up like swear words on them.
right.
It's like, okay, that just says the F word.
I think those are kind of hilarious. Like I saw those a lot in the Czech Republic.
Yeah,
shirts that
yeah,
just
yeah.
said like "fuck" or like something like that. It's funny.
So, by the way,
Spread a little love.
and please 5-star reviews on iTunes and Stitcher. Speaking of media literacy, Chad, have you seen that we now have a third choice for president? Apparently, Kanye West has thrown his hat into the ring.
Yeah, what's that about?
Now, apparently, it's too late. Like, he can't even do it.
You could probably write him in, right? Are you gonna write in Kanye?
Yeah, that's
Kim
exactly what I'm
Kardashian
gonna
would
do.
be the first lady.
I mean, it's not much different than our current
Right,
first lady.
that's
to be honest
true.
with you.
That is
but,
true.
which is no shade; it's just the truth.
Right.
But actually, no, I take that back.
You gotta
That's not true.
Yeah,
I
you
take
do
that
have
back.
to file. I'd
rather have Kim Kardashian. At least Kim Kardashian is like getting people released from prison right now.
Right.
But I heard what his platform was. Have you heard about his platform?
No, what's his platform?
It's very heavily based in Jesus and Christianity and the rule of God and not
do you feel
angering
about
Jesus. I think that's very stupid. But but he had no.
It's almost like we have something in the Constitution.
Yeah, that too.
That says that church and state are supposed to be.
That's weird.
Weird, really weird. That doesn't surprise me though.
Yeah.
About the Jesus thing.
Yeah, and it's just like we've been making Jesus angry, and we need to follow his law and like our like American law is God's law and all this shit. And he also said he wanted to. Did I just? Maybe I should just stop screaming. He also said he wanted to base part of his part of his platform off of the Wakanda platform,
which is what?
Black Panther.
Yeah, I get that, but what is their platform?
I don't know.
Okay.
But he explained. Well, he didn't really explain it very well, but shockingly. But I was like, wait, you mean the cartoon? That's what he wants to. And he says that like.
So is he going to get some vibranium? Is that what's going down?
Yeah, I was like, okay.
I'd be cool with that.
We're going to have powers?
Right.
Now you're actually starting to make a point here.
Right. Right. Give me a car like that flies around. For sure.
It's a very good point.
Right.
It's a very good point.
Heal people with like the thing. Yeah.
Yes.
That'd be crazy.
So like I'm just it's ridiculous, and it's like why do you want to run for president? I don't get it. He also said special people run for president. He says Joe Biden's not special, but Trump is special. Obama is special. Kanye West is special.
I hate to say this, but I don't think he's wrong.
I mean he's. I mean,
hate to say this, but I don't think he's terribly wrong.
I mean. Yeah, he probably he has the exact same sort of ego that he has the exact kind of ego you need to even consider yourself a good president.
Right. You need some sort of ego for sure.
Yeah.
Or have some type of.
Because it's a terrible job.
Right. Oh, it's awful.
Why would you want that job? You can make, and the thing is, you don't even make that much money.
Right.
Like you could just like.
I mean, no one becomes a president for the money. Clearly.
Well, they do, but not while they're in office.
Right. Well, that's true. Well, I'm sure Trump has made millions, if not billions of dollars since he's become president.
And any president after, they go on these stupid speaking tours and
right.
shit.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Media lit though, my man. But first, let's get into some shout outs.
Yes.
Maybe.
Yes.
I only have one today. Do you have one?
I have one more thing I want to tell you.
Oh,
about.
okay. Let's hear it.
I am here at the Untranslatable podcast is going
On the road again.
Ooh, where are you going?
I'm going to Louisiana.
Ooh.
I'm not flying. I'm driving
Okay.
to Louisiana, where my parents live. I'm going to their house.
Okay.
And they've been I've been thinking about it, and I was like, well, what am I going to do? Because I can't really go on vacation.
Right.
And I told my parents I'd come visit. I haven't been there in a while, and I thought, all right, I guess we'll drive there and we'll just do a quarantine there. Although
Right.
we're going at the beginning of August, so at the end of this, I'm kind of nervous.
What are you nervous about?
Stopping at rest stops. Like, especially since, I looked at the map the other day. I mean, not that I had to look at a map to know this, I guess. But, I have to go through Michigan, Indiana, Tennessee, Kentucky, Alabama, Mississippi.
How long is the drive? How
It's
many
16
hours.
hours.
16.
Well, the
Okay.
plan is to stop at a hotel somewhere in the middle.
Yep, that makes sense. 8 and 8.
Yeah, 9 and 9 probably, but yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's a little over
Sorry.
16, and
Yeah.
then with stops and stuff, yeah, it'll probably be like 9 and 9. But yeah. And so I've been wondering, should we prepare with episodes beforehand, or would it be fun to do an on the road again, old school on the road again?
I'm for sure down to do some
Because
on the road again.
I definitely want to talk about this road trip because it'll be very interesting.
I want to hear about it
All
for
right.
sure. Yeah, no, I think we should do some while you're on the road, and also some before you go.
Okay,
Yeah,
for sure.
I've been thinking too, as summer eventually is coming to an end, and the fact that I will be working, not full time, but working a lot more at the end of this month. I've been thinking about also doing something. So I might.
You keep saying you're going to go camping.
I've been thinking about it. The
You
problem
did a lot
is
of thinking.
what's the point of going camping by yourself?
Yeah.
You know.
Are you
Like-
asking? Is this you asking
No,
me to
I'm
go
not.
camping
No,
with
no,
you?
no. I'm not sure what the plan is yet. I've still been thinking about it. I just don't know if it's smart or if it's safe. I think it's.
I mean, how is
relatively safe.
camping unsafe?
I'm not sure. That's a good question.
So why would that be a consideration if you don't even know how it could be unsafe?
I guess not going with anybody.
Oh yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be concerned about safety as far as not going with anyone. I mean, you're probably going to be at some sort of campsite. It's not like you're going to be like get lost and fall into an ocean or a sea or a lake and river and get like. But I would get concerned about boredom if that more than anything.
Right.
Who would you invite if you could?
Well, that's the other thing.
Like, what would be your ideal crowd if you could?
Ideal crowd would be like 3 or 4 of my guy friends. You would probably be included in that list.
Okay.
Yeah. But with this whole, with everything going on right now, it's like, I think to feasibly get that to work, there's a lot of moving parts. You know what I mean?
It's
you gotta
interesting.
coordinate where, when, who.
Yeah. I mean, that's any sort of vacation.
Right.
It's interesting because for me, it seems like vacation now is so much easier because like I'm not even sure if I'm going to take time off of work. We're going to leave on like a Friday or maybe a Saturday, and I'll get there by Sunday, and then I might work during the week. And I feel so much more flexible now.
Right.
That I'm working from home.
And see, for me with camping, I guess the whole point is I would want to be somewhere where I am disconnected for a while.
Sure.
So I couldn't work because, I have been doing,
well, yeah, of
teaching.
course.
Right. So it's like, what's the point of going camping if you are going to be, I guess being alone in the wilderness isn't a bad thing, but I don't think it's worth
meditate.
a long
about
drive,
yourself.
though. Right. But I don't think it's worth like when I say camping, I mean like go up north. I mean like go to a beach.
Right.
Like make like a weekend thing of it.
No, I understand what you're
Yeah,
saying.
yeah.
I definitely understand what you're saying. It is hard to coordinate for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I went camping a few times, and it's just better with more people too.
Right.
Because all you're really doing is like sitting there and drinking and talking anyway. So it's just fun with more people. There's not really much to do. But I think it would be an interesting experiment. Not that you would do it. No offense.
Right.
But it would be
just
an
go
interesting
camping alone.
Yes, to see how you and to see what sort of what you've learned. Take some time to really, especially if you have no signal or phone access or anything.
Right.
Really go off the grid and just think about things.
Right. Yeah. It would be good, but I've that's the thing, man. I like the idea of it a lot.
Yeah.
I really like the idea, and I think it would be
I
nice
understand.
and good. But just it's just to say, okay, I'm gonna have to rebook my lessons. I'm gonna have to do all this. I know these are excuses, Jared.
No,
I'm well aware, but
it's
I hope
okay if you don't that you don't want to go camping by yourself. I think that's completely normal. I wouldn't want to go camping by myself either. It sounds boring.
Right. Yeah, it's better to have somebody there.
Especially if you're not doing activities. Like maybe it would be fun. Maybe I'd be able to think about it. Well, still, if I was like hiking and then I like hike to a place where but then it seems dangerous to go totally off the grid by yourself, no cell phone service, no one around, and like start doing hiking and kayaking. Maybe hiking's fine.
Right.
But like kayaking and like doing stuff where you're in water, it's like that's just kind of starting to feel foolish now,
Right. Yeah, it's always good to. I mean, there's a buddy system for a reason.
Yeah.
There's definitely a buddy system for a reason.
All right, dude.
But anyways, let's get into the shout-outs. My shout-out today, and we've given him shout-outs before, goes out to the CEO of Twitter, Jack Dorsey. I don't know if you've heard about this, Jared, but he has been talking about doing a universal income plan for certain places. And this has also been with the help of Andrew Yang, who was a former Democratic presidential candidate, who has really kind of brought the idea of universal basic income into the mainstream.
Yeah.
And for a lot of people who don't know what universal basic income is, it's very simple. I think everybody under a certain salary level would get, $1,000 a month or $1,200 or whatever the amount would be.
Just an automatic stipend.
Yeah,
every
just
month.
comes in every month to help with food, necessities,
I think
rent.
it's kind of interesting, too, because I feel like part of what spurred on this conversation, or not spurred on, but continued on this conversation. Is there something on me?
Here, move forward. Yeah, let me.
Oh, no. Oh,
You're good.
I got nervous it was a wasp.
No. Just a little bug.
What brought it into conversation even more was the fact that we got this $1,200 check that
The stimulus.
that didn't really do anything. Like
Right.
obviously it helped in the moment, but it's like for most people that doesn't even really cover like half of their monthly income or not
Right.
income like
and
expenses.
And we're what 4 months removed from March when the lockdown began, right?
Yeah, people still have rent to pay.
Yep, and people still haven't gotten. Not everyone has gotten their stimulus.
Yeah.
I know a couple people. So
And
Yeah.
but I think it just giving one check, which probably to the people that gave it out seemed like a look, we're giving you something, we're extending an olive branch, but it really I feel like highlighted the necessity for or the benefits of an actual like a continuous universal
Right.
basic income system.
right, just because, and a lot of people worry or argue that it's going to make people lazy. If you look at what Finland has done, that wasn't the case there. They
Yeah.
had an experiment with universal basic income. I would assume it would just better society. You don't have people going hungry. You don't have people, that are homeless.
Mm-hmm.
There's all these things that, it doesn't solve all the problems, but it does solve some.
I'm reading that book, Stamped from the Beginning, and just yesterday I read a section of it. Now everything is racist now that I've read this book. I just read a section yesterday, and they were talking, and this is, I'm at the point where slaves had just been freed, like it's 1866, 1865, 1866. And the white people are kind of trying to decide what to do with black people, and black people are asking for or demanding land because they're like, how can we be free yet still have no choice but to work for the very people that enslaved us? Like, we need our own ability to grow wealth and all that stuff. And they were having those exact same conversations about how, like, if we allow them to grow wealth like this, and if we give them stuff, then they'll just keep relying on us for stuff, and they're never really going to learn to, we're not helping anything by just giving them stuff, because then they're going to rely on us. And that's just been the same conversation that's been going on forever.
Right. Well, it's funny you mentioned that, Jared, because there was an episode of Chappelle's Show was on yesterday, and I love Chappelle's Show. I was watching it for a couple hours. While I was working on some music, and I was watching it. And the funny thing is he did a sketch on what would happen if there were reparations for slavery, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously it's a comedy sketch and it's supposed to be funny, but some of the stuff he says has some truth to it. Like one of the jokes he makes is that, there were like 8,000 record labels that opened in a day, but it's like the fact that I think that on some level is kind of true. Not, obviously 8,000 maybe, but but the whole point is, why not give people money and fund them so they can have these creative outlets? It's better. I think it would be better to have somebody, running a music label than, being out on the streets.
Right.
I think, and that's my issue when people say they're just going to get lazy. You know what I mean?
And it's like, but that's such a weird, like, it's weird because this is like, it's like we're all Americans. You don't think there are, like, they want money too? Like, who lives like that? Like, especially if you're in like who's just like, oh, I'm like, they're not making enough money to like live comfortably off of this universal. It's not like they're like, oh yeah, now I bought a house and I have a car and food and I don't need to do anything. It's like people still want to improve their, like, I don't know. It's just, it's such a weird. And that's why I kind of brought up that book, because it's just like it always just goes back to like now I'm just thinking about where are these, or like what are the origins of even thinking of this, and it's just like I don't know, it kind of bums me out.
Yeah, it doesn't bum me out though, Jared.
Sometimes those bum me out too. You mean the untranslatables?
I do mean the untranslatables. I try not to bum you out with them, Jared. But yes, time for our untranslatables, which are proverbs, idioms, axioms, phrases, words that don't translate smoothly on a one-to-one basis into English. And it is our job, it is our expertise and profession, that why you come here, people, for us to translate the untranslatables. I'm going to start us off with a Japanese one, and it is Ichigo Ichi, which means...
Ichi is one, isn't it?
Yeah, very good.
Oh, 1, 2, 1.
No. Ichigo Ichi means...
Oh, wait. Ichi ni san shi... Oh, I don't know what number go is. Go loku... Go is like 5?
I don't...
6?
I couldn't tell you, because here this means one life, one encounter.
Okay. One life, one encounter. It's like live your life to the fullest, because you only got one. YOLO.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep. There we go.
YOLO. My first one is Italian, and it's actually more. It's actually like it's a thing. It's not like a saying or something. It's a thing, but the literal translation for it is actually both of mine are things, but the little translations are funny. So it's strozza preti, and it literally means priest strangler.
Priest strangler. Is this dirty?
No.
No. Okay.
You would find this at your local grocery store.
A priest strangler? What is it? I have no idea.
It's a kind of pasta. The legend
Really?
of how this
Okay.
noodle got its name is just as twisted as the pasta itself. It allegedly stems from greedy priest who, upon receiving the dish from locals, scarfed it down so quickly that they choked.
Oh, that
So
makes sense.
it's like a twisted sort of pasta,
Uh-huh.
and that's the legend of where the name comes from.
Oh, that's funny.
Priest stranglers.
Okay. Give me another one.
I mean, I only have two, but I'll give you the other one I have. It's Afrikaans, and it's papier vampire, which you actually probably
Paper
can translate.
vampire.
Yeah, what's that?
A paper vampire.
It's once again, it's a thing.
It's a thing. A paper vampire.
Man, if I would have known where you wanted to do this, I could have kept the page up there. I had a bunch of them.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Well, it's next time.
all
Next
right,
time.
all right.
I'm not gonna find
paper
it now.
vampire. It's a thing. It sucks blood from paper. It's like
Paper.
A pen?
No, but I like where your head's at.
Okay.
It paper vampire. So a
Is it an
vampire.
eraser?
What is it? No. What does a vampire do to?
Sucks blood
But how do they do it?
with teeth. Oh, is it a staple remover?
No, but you're so close.
A stapler.
There you go.
It's a stapler. Oh, nice. A stapler. Okay.
Yeah, it's a
Nice.
stapler, a paper vampire.
Okay, I like that. That's kind of it's a spooky but kind of cute one at the same time. All right, my last one for you is Tagalog, which is a Filipino language, and it is linta sip sip, and linta means leech, and sip sip comes from the word sip in English, to like drink.
Okay,
So
leech.
drink, or sip sip.
Is it like I cut myself? I'm bleeding. I scratched myself because like you have a in the leech sip sip. Someone like relies on you for everything.
Oh, you're getting close, yeah. So here's the example, or here. I'll just read you this. That's why she got promoted easily.
Oh, like a brown noser.
There we go. Good work. Yeah. Yep. Good old brown.
That makes sense.
noser.
So it's like you're latching onto someone and just sipping at whatever they give you.
Yes.
Yeah,
that
brown
is
noser
correct.
as we call it in
Yeah,
the U.S.
Exactly. I'm sure there's plenty of different phrases for those types of people in
Yeah.
different languages.
You know, that's
Sure.
interesting because media literacy, sometimes you'll find some brown nosers out there.
You'll find a lot of them, maybe.
Now, before we start shitting on news organizations
Okay.
and shit, because that's almost definitely going to happen at some point.
Maybe.
What news do you read? First question. What's your main source of news?
Memes.
All right, come on, Chad. This is serious talk.
Memes.
This
First-
is serious right now.
First source of news.
Although that is, the funny thing is that's not true for a lot of people.
Yep, I'm aware. Honestly, it's usually, I hate to say it, but it's usually links from stuff I see on Facebook.
Okay, so you're still active on Facebook
or Twitter.
because I feel like you're starting to be on Twitter more.
Occasionally, here and there, yeah.
I feel like
I
I'm
kinda
seeing-
like Twitter.
I'm seeing at least I like you're responding to things on Twitter more. Even like when I post the episode, I was like, oh, Chad's never really even like responded.
Yeah.
I was like, he must be on Twitter more.
Well, I didn't have the Twitter app on my old phone because it was when I was in China. You
Sure.
can't really use Twitter, so and I had gotten Twitter initially in college for like a communications class. Our
yeah.
our prof made us all get it. So
Yeah.
But media literacy, I think also social media has to be roped into that nowadays
For sure.
too, and also being able to tell what you read, because I've seen plenty of articles online that aren't real articles that just prove how easy it is. I mean, you can just show a picture and a headline, and a lot of people will share it, not
Yeah.
thinking. So that's why media literacy is so important.
Media lit. You still
That's
got
right.
that schoolboy.
Comes
thinking,
off
I mean.
comes off the tongue real easy, Jared.
We got media lit fourth period.
That's right. I think it was third, but close enough.
My main news source is also Twitter. The thing about Twitter or any social media for that matter. It's really all about how you curate it.
And it's pretty biased towards what your leanings tend to be usually.
Did you know that on Facebook, if you go deep into, not even deep, but if you go into your settings, it'll show you what they think you can either put it in or it'll automatically tell you like say what your political leanings are, like conservative or liberal, and it just automatically like assigns that to you based off of how you like work on social media.
I got a funny little story about that if you want to hear it.
Please.
So I heard about that a few years back. I think it was right before the election, so this would have been 2015, early 2016.
That's probably when
maybe.
I heard about it too.
And I remember, so what I did is I went on Facebook and I liked all sorts of crazy right-wing and different conservative and also super libertarian and left, basically a whole spectrum politically, just to see what would happen. But here's the issue.
It turns out they have a point.
Well, here's the issue is that I had a bunch of people messaging me and like, hey, are you voting for Trump? Like, do you like this? Do you like this candidate? And I'm just like, I don't feel like dealing with this shit. So I just unfollowed all of it. I think I might still have like a couple probably more left-leaning ones. But the funny thing about left-leaning in the U.S., Jared, is that we aren't really that left.
No.
Like if you look at Europe and you compare U.S. left to Europe left, Bernie Sanders, who a lot of people call a socialist, would be a very democratic socialist Democrat.
Right.
You know? So, yeah.
Yeah. So my main news. My main news source is Twitter. I obviously that's very heavily based on who you follow. So even when it comes to trending news, I feel like that is sort of what I do. Like I spend a lot of time looking at the trending news to see what's hot and happening, and they even know, probably based off of what I follow, that I also pay more attention to Michigan-based stuff.
Sure.
So usually somewhere in my trending, it'll be like trending in Michigan, and then it'll be like, and I actually seen trending in other places like Twitter, and like I remember when I was in Tanzania. And I saw trending news, and I'm like, I don't know what is happening on on my trending news section right now. I don't know any of these names. I don't know what is happening. But then, where do you go to? Do you read news articles?
If I want to read legit news articles or really get a view on what's going on, I really like the website All Sides.
Yeah,
it's either allsides.net or allsides.org. I don't remember. It's been a while since I've looked because lately, man, I've just been playing music and teaching, and I guess might as well announce it now. Or should we wait? Should we wait another episode? I'll just announce it now. Screw it, man. So I will be working as a virtual language fellow starting at the end of July until January. So I will be working back at my university in Shandong, in Jinan. So I will be teaching virtually. So I'll be teaching here from home in Michigan. It'll be a challenge with the time difference, but I'm excited.
What time are the classes at?
10 p.m. I'll be teaching, 10 a.m. in the morning for them.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
10 p.m. for you.
For me, yeah. I like to stay up late, though. So
that's true.
It's not too big of an issue.
Well,
lately, so news. I haven't been following the news lately, but I like All Sides.
Has there ever been a point in your life where you've been where you consistently go to a news outlet, like say every couple of days or every day? You I always look at this news outlet.
In college, I was going to Al Jazeera on a probably every other day basis, just because it was interesting to get a different news perspective. Than your typical CNN or Fox or MSNBC.
Sure.
That kind of thing.
I used to read the NPR website. I
like NPR.
But I don't really read a lot of news unless it's some sort of article that sticks out to me that happened that I find through Twitter, to be honest with you.
Right.
But I will say this. I feel like as far as current events go, my media lit is comme ci comme ça. I feel like I don't know. I feel like I try to at least pay attention to the narrative from the other side, and I'm not just. But I'm also, I don't like reading. Anyway. But the reason I'm saying this is because I'd say my media lit is strong in the automotive industry.
Sure.
I would say that if I look at it like industry specific, whether it be current events, that's not an industry, that's just life. But I'd say that like I'm at the point in reading car news where I have certain authors I like more than others.
Mm-hmm.
Like I know what to expect from some more than others. I know that like if I'm going to a certain website, the perspective might be skewed towards like these days. It kind of seems like some of the EV sites like are real skewed towards Tesla, where it's like I don't know if I can really take this 100% seriously. So like I like that in that sense. I feel like I have it very well curated, and so
Right.
I know how to do it. It's just, do I feel like doing it?
Well,
I
it's
guess.
not even the curation. It's what is accurate media news.
See, now I understand. Look how afraid you are. Like, is this going to rip off immediately?
Well, look at the clouds above us.
What about them? Are those wind clouds?
They're storm clouds, which bring wind. Anyway,
Chad's media lit is very strong in the area of meteorology.
that's right. You better believe it. You better believe it.
So yeah. Other than that, it's. I would say, other than the car industry, I would say that my media lit is Twitter based. Is that is that bad?
Well, it will give you a certain snapshot, probably
Yeah.
what you want to see. Any social
Sure.
media, that's why I also was following some of those types of things I wouldn't necessarily follow, just to kind of throw off the algorithm. It's that type of stuff is algorithmic.
Yeah.
So I think I one of my favorite places to get news, though, believe it or not, this may sound really kind of goofy or funny, is uplifting news on Reddit. That's where I find a lot of our shout outs.
But do you find useful things that are happening in society?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, sure.
I guess so.
mean,
there are useful,
for
positive
every
things
one
happening.
shout out I have on the podcast, Jared, I read at least 3 or 4 different articles.
Okay.
So, and some of them I just read because I'm curious.
Right.
I don't even think they'll be good for the podcast, but I'm just curious.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the key with media literacy is knowing when it's opinion, when it's fact, knowing when it's fact and fiction, and knowing how to figure that out, how to check your sources.
How do you do that though? Because we're at a place now where if you're arguing with someone, say that's politically the complete opposite of you, there is probably no article that you can show them where they'll be like, "Oh, that's not biased. Oh, that's a fake news source. I don't trust that news source." And it's like, "All right, so you show me your news source." And it's like, I don't know, Breitbart or the OAN News Network, and it's like, "Well, we're just doing the same stupid thing now."
Right.
Where it's like, I'm going to say the same thing to you. I don't.
Well, but I think that's when we're also arguing about something that maybe we perceive as factual, but it's not factual. It's really opinion. I feel like we do that a lot as a society, at least in the U.S., where we take things that are opinions and we try to make them facts. I'm trying to think of some examples. Sometimes it's hard to come up with them right on the spot. But anyways.
I understand what you're saying, though. Sure, it's just more of a way to push the narrative that they want to push, essentially,
Right.
whatever that might be. Yeah, sure, of course. Well, in your media lit class, did you guys talk about the idea of for-profit news and how it doesn't really work?
Well, not only for-profit news, but if you look at the way news is run, it's really a couple big companies, and that's it.
Yes.
So if you look at who you're getting your, and that's why I mentioned Al Jazeera, is that's not one of the U.S.-owned news, different media brands. The other thing about news and media,
where are they based? Do you know?
I'm not sure. That's a
Okay.
great question. I'm not sure. I'm going to laugh if it's like Washington, D.C. or something.
Capitol Hill.
Right. But I don't know. I think the issue with media literacy is a lot of people, it's so easy to post and share things that are fake or that are spun in a way. Qatar, okay. That are spun in a way to make you feel anxious or feel some type of way. And I think the media does a great job sometimes of tugging on our heartstrings. And I think sometimes it's important, Jared, to take a step back. Like, I hate to admit this, but my dad spends way too much time watching CNN.
Mm-hmm.
Watches it a lot. And, if I take a break from, playing music or doing whatever, I'll come downstairs and he's watching CNN, right? and I look at the title, and a lot of times the headline right now, because we're in a pandemic, is record-breaking number of coronavirus cases. Well, guess what? You can literally run that headline until the numbers start declining.
Yeah.
And technically, it's not wrong, but it's like, okay, it's going to be this way for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And when you see that headline, how do you think that makes people feel? It makes them feel afraid. That makes them feel, the whole idea of the news cycle is to get you to come back and watch.
Right.
If they only reported on positive and happy things happening in the world, which also isn't realistic.
Sure.
But if they did that, they wouldn't have nearly as many viewers.
But, for example, we talked about this before. Now that the protests, the Black Lives Matter protests are 99% peaceful at this point, they're no longer talking about them,
right.
even though they're still happening.
Right.
And that is still an issue that has not fully been resolved with, Breonna Taylor's murderers haven't been arrested. It's still
and there have been more people, getting killed by police,
it's not
innocent
like it stopped.
people.
Yeah.
Right.
And so it is annoying that's the case. But I think in my mind, I feel like to be properly not to be properly informed. Yeah, to be properly informed, I feel like you really got to read stuff.
Yeah. Well, not only that, you got to be willing to do deep dives, and a lot of people aren't willing to do that. A lot of people don't have the time and the energy. Let's be honest.
Yeah. They have the places they like to go to.
Right. Exactly. And it's easy to get that news feed that makes you feel how you want to feel.
Mm-hmm.
Like CNN, they do a lot of Trump bashing. Look, Trump does a lot of terrible things. I'm not trying to say he's a great president. He's a terrible president. I think he has done, maybe it's not him personally, but I think good things have happened while he has been president. Now, whether that's on him or not, that's a whole different conversation. But my point here is that all CNN does is, to me, it seems like it's coronavirus and it's Trump bashing.
Yeah.
And that's their audience, and that's what they like, so that's what they do. And then you have Fox, which is the polar opposite. They love him, usually. I mean, they've even said some stuff against him lately, but generally speaking, it's very pro-Trump. It's very, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so people watch what they want to hear.
Do they have this problem? Well, I was going to say, do they have this problem in other countries? But, I mean, not China.
Right. Well, to some extent, yes. To some, no. It just depends on the systems.
Like in Germany, is it like this? Or you've spent time in Germany. We both have. I wasn't reading news when I was
It's not
there.
like this in Germany. But I think it's because the discourse around news media is different in Europe than it is in the U.S. I think they value journalism and the press, and they hold it. I'm not saying that we don't have journalists here that have integrity. I think we 100% do. But I also think there's a lot of journalists out there who aren't even really qualified journalists.
A lot of opinion.
Exactly. They pass it off as news and fact, and it's not fact, it's opinion.
That's actually
Great point.
Something I've noticed as an avid reader of car articles. Like sometimes I'll be reading it, and I'll be like, I don't like I understand how you feel about the car, but you're not really telling me about the car.
Right, like give me the specs.
You're like, oh, this looks really good, but it's like, well, what's the material, or like, why is it
what's the top speed?
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, no one really cares about the top
No one
speed.
cares?
But
Oh, okay.
I mean, I guess it depends on
Trying to relate with you here, Jared. Come on now.
No one really. It depends. But some people would actually. I take that back. Some people would say they do care about the top speed. Some people would be like, no one's ever going 200 miles per hour, even though this is a Ferrari. There's no really
Right.
point to talk about that. Let's talk about the realism of what it's like to drive this car.
Sure.
So yeah, I get what you're saying. It's impossible to have discourse on social media. It's one of the most entertaining.
Civil,
yeah,
yes,
that's true.
civil discourse.
It's one of the most entertaining and annoying and aggravating things to look at.
Yep. There are certain people that I just don't engage with anymore. I hate to say this. I have family members on Facebook.
Yeah.
I recently taught my mom how to unfollow somebody on Facebook. She was all happy to not
hilarious.
see some certain people's posts because, they were racist and Blue Lives Matter and blah, blah, blah. And I'm not saying that police officers, I'm not saying that those people who work as police officers shouldn't come home safe. I think everyone deserves to come home safe. Mm-hmm. But you shouldn't be allowed to just murder people. Because you fear for your life, especially when that person has a different skin. Yeah. Anyways, sorry, getting off on a tangent here, but you're right. It's very difficult to have a civil discourse on social media, especially because, a lot of people are trolls anyways.
Yeah.
They don't care They're going to troll you anyways. They're going to clown on you. Sometimes people deserve to be clowned on.
Let's talk about the most popular news websites in America.
Okay.
Now, I think this will be interesting to talk about because I feel like I don't get my news from any of these places.
I probably don't really either.
Number one is Yahoo. Somehow Yahoo is still at the top of this list.
I
you
used
know
to
why?
get my news in like the 90s from them.
You know why? Because I feel like there's still so many, and I hate to say it, older people
Right.
that have Yahoo as like their landing page
Right.
On their internet
That's true.
browser.
That's true.
It's like sometimes I still go to my grandma's house, and like you open
Right.
up Internet Explorer and Yahoo pops up.
Right. Or
And it's
what
like,
was the other one?
hell
Is it
this?
MSNBC?
MSN News, yes.
Or MSN News,
yes.
yeah. Uh-huh.
That's probably somewhere in here. CBS
That
is
doesn't
another
surprise
one.
me.
The second most popular and the fifth most famous news website. What does that even mean?
That's a good question.
NBC, CNN,
Yeah, CNN doesn't surprise me.
NBC News,
Okay. So 2 NBCs.
yeah, Fox News,
Okay, not surprised.
ESPN.
Sports news. Still news, but sports news.
I guess so. Yeah, I did find it interesting to see ESPN in there.
Well, I think it's what do you view as newsworthy? Is it
Right.
only politics? Is it only current events?
And that's not to say that athletes don't have commentary, like comment on politics.
True.
I've actually heard
True.
some people say that they think. I mean, I hate when anyone says this, but like sports are getting too political.
Right.
Where it's like, why? Because they're talking about what athletes say.
I
Go ahead.
I think it's funny how people also try to say that with music. How music is getting too political. It's like, do you not understand that's where half of the motivation to write
that's
this
been-
stuff comes
And that's
from,
most
yeah.
music of all time.
Right.
Is commenting on something political happening.
Right, that we dislike,
Yeah.
or disagree with, yeah.
That's like most music.
Right.
MSN. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
BuzzFeed. How do you feel about BuzzFeed, Chad?
I like their quizzes. Their
I feel
quizzes are fun.
I feel like we were. I wonder if we're jaded as millennials because
Probably.
we came into BuzzFeed when it was just stupid articles and it's like we're gonna tell
What
you
pizza
which
are you?
Yeah, we're gonna tell you which
Yeah.
office character you are based off of your Wendy's order or some stupid
Right.
shit like that.
Right.
But now I think they do have a legit news section.
Probably.
But for some reason,
they have language sections. Like BuzzFeed Germany's got some cool stuff about the German language.
Oh really?
Yeah.
I did not know
Fun
that.
fact for you.
I'd be interested to look into that.
Yeah.
They do have they've grown into like a phenomena. I'm not looking at it. They have a huge, look at all these sections they have. They have a pop culture section. They have videos. They have they have quizzes, obviously, lifestyle.
Just humor me. Type in BuzzFeed.de, I think,
All right.
and just see. I'm curious. Ooh, here, I'll take that.
How do you feel about BuzzFeed as a news source? Do you
I guess in a way, I mean, they are legit. I just don't know if that's what I would really.
Oh, you know what? I take away all the legitimacy. I realize. They own Tasty? Do you know Tasty?
Tasty? No,
That's
what's that?
those videos that you'll see on like Facebook or Twitter or something where they're making some dish. And they're like,
Oh, yeah,
and
okay.
every dish looks disgusting.
Yep.
And it's like I didn't see salt or pepper anywhere in sight. And it's like who wraps? I don't know. That's always disgusting, but it's taking forever. For some reason, I maybe just because I immediately. And I've never really delved deep into BuzzFeed's news section. Maybe I've read an article here and there, but for some reason I struggle to take their news as seriously as maybe I should, or I don't know, because I just think of them as like the quiz thing.
Right. Yeah, makes sense.
But now when I look at their actual homepage, I'm like, well, I mean, you got to open your mind a little bit because obviously they've grown since then. It's not like they have the
Right.
same people making the which Cheeto flavor are you based off of your
Exactly.
favorite cartoon.
Right. Well, I think that's the key with social media with media literacy is that being able to see the full picture of things. So being able to say, is this a credible news source or not? Mm-hmm. And it depends what you're looking for. You know.
Okay, let me start over at the beginning of this list, and
Okay.
we're going to say credible or not.
Okay.
Number 1, Yahoo.
Look, I think the only way we can really do this is pull up Yahoo's page
Okay.
and let's look at what they have to offer.
All right.
We can't be preaching media literacy here, Jared, and going off of our biases and preconceived notions about these places. You know what I'm saying?
Well, off the bat, they're kind of behind.
Are they? What are just if you were to sum up to our listeners, what are you seeing right now?
Now, let me just
on
read the
Yahoo?
headlines that
Okay,
pop up.
Perfect.
The first thing that pops up: gun Missouri couple pointed at BLM protest.
Oh yeah, their gun got taken away.
Gun,
yeah.
gun Missouri couple pointed at BLM protesters seized. That's a weird way to word that
That's
sentence.
a terrible headline.
But
Yeah, but what they're trying to say is, yeah, the guns were confiscated from the people who,
Yeah.
and this is too long for a headline as well, but guns were confiscated from the people who
from the Missouri couple
Yeah.
that we talked about with
Ken
the
and Karen.
barefoot Ken and
yeah,
Karen.
Ken
yes.
and Karen. Right. That is a couple days. Well, I think that's 1 or 2 days
I guess,
old.
yeah,
isn't it?
I didn't realize. I was confused by the way they worded the title. Now I
Sure,
understand what they're saying.
sure.
So maybe that did recently happen. Brazilian model makes history with sports. Brazilian model Valentina Sampaio becomes first transgender Sports Illustrated swimsuit model.
Okay.
All right, that's news.
You know what? I'm gonna give Yahoo a thumbs up.
Me too.
I'm gonna give them a thumbs
Especially
up.
since mostly what they're doing is Yahoo is a curator.
Right.
It's not like Yahoo hires writers.
Are you
I think
sure
they're a curator.
about that?
I think they're a curator.
Are they? Okay. I'm not sure.
Well, I'm looking.
Not
look,
willing to die on that hill today,
I'm
Jared.
scrolling through the top
Right.
page: USA Today, Market Watch,
Okay.
NBC Sports,
Right.
HuffPost. So they're
Okay.
they're
Those
more
are other
curating.
news. Yeah. Okay. All right. What's our number 2?
CBS.
All right. Pull up CBS, my man.
Oh Jesus Christ!
We're doing it.
CBS News.
Doing a deep dive here.
I'm going to give them a yes. By the way,
Yeah, I would
even
too.
beforehand.
Also, what are your thoughts on the video news videos? I prefer to read my articles. Maybe I'm old.
You know, it's funny because that's a lot of what Twitter is listening to videos or watching videos. And I agree. For some reason, it doesn't feel like I'm doing the work when I
Watch a video?
when I watch a video.
Right.
But I'm getting the exact same information. Why does it feel like I'm not properly doing the work?
Reading is faster. That's why I prefer
Reading is faster? You think so?
I can read an article faster than you could watch. Do you really think? So we have a page-long article, right? And you have a 2, 3, 4 minute video. I guarantee you, I could read that article faster than you could watch that video.
Okay.
Now, if it's a book, then sure, the movie's faster.
yeah, of course.
If it's a book, but I think a lot of news media, I prefer to read because I can skim it quickly. If I watch a video, unless I speed the video up,
Yeah, you can't you have to listen
Right.
to everything. I see
Right.
what so you're saying
Yeah.
you're saying if you skim it, then all right, CBS News.
I'd give it a thumbs up.
U.S. sees over 3.1 million COVID cases. Trump commutes ally Roger Stone's sentence. Hamilton's duel with Burr, 216 years. Yeah, this seems pretty legit to me. I'm gonna give this a thumbs up.
Yeah, I would too.
NBC. I'm gonna say. But the thing is, a lot of these are more curators that we're seeing.
Right.
Because I think even CBS and NBC there's a level of curation here rather than
So
them
then the
hiring
key
writers.
the key is we gotta dig even deeper, Jared.
The good thing about
go.
curation is though
Right.
it allows you to theoretically.
You can
Well-
find your sources to some degree.
It does help to I guess so. I don't know. But there's. I feel like there's no way. It doesn't really matter what the source is. At this point, it's just find what you think is giving you the best information because you're not convincing people with news. I feel like I've never seen it happen.
Once again, I don't think the role of news is to convince people.
Right, it's to
I
quote
think
unquote
it's
inform people.
right, and just tell
But
people.
like when
what's
people
going
say
on.
like show your sources, I hear that all the
Right.
time. Where it's
Right.
like, but you're not going to believe the source.
but show your sources. That's not about media literacy. That's about an argument.
right, that's true. That's true.
Media literacy is about being able to read and understand and analyze different forms of media. So news is one, music is another. That's a whole nother can of worms, being able to analyze music. We were listening to some Wiz Khalifa tunes before we recorded our previous episode, and we were joking around about some of the lyrics that he was using.
Right,
That
yeah.
in a way is also a type of media literacy.
So do you learn about in this media lit class? Do you learn about specific language that you need to like watch out for? I mean, I'm asking you about a class you took 10 years ago.
Probably longer than that now. But sorry, what was? Can you repeat the question?
It's definitely longer because we graduated 10 years ago
Right.
from high school. Do you like did they like tell you about words to watch out for, like sort of like buzzwords? I'm looking at BuzzFeed right here, but like words that are like this like be careful when you see this word because this means that they're. you're getting more of opinion, or you're
Right.
not actually getting, whatever that is.
Well, that's a great idea. We didn't do that. We did read headlines. So we read headlines and kind of talked about, we didn't use the term back then, clickbait.
Yeah, I was about to say that was probably pre-clickbait.
This was pre-clickbait, but
but that doesn't mean they weren't doing that
Right.
sort of catchy headline thing.
Right. I'm trying to think what this goes to show you my age, I guess. There was a phrase for it. There's a phrase that we use when the media tries to draw you in with the headline.
Well, yeah, and I listen to a lot of podcasts too. Sometimes I hear like journalists, or whether it be a car journalist or not, talking, and sometimes they'd be like, I didn't choose that headline. It's like they did that because I actually was just someone that I was listening to someone that read a book the other day, and they're like, I didn't choose that headline, but they thought it would be more grabby.
Right.
And it's like, I don't even really think that sums up my writing that well, but it jumps out at you better.
Right.
I was trying to see if I could find what the word is, but all it is just a whole lot of talk about clickbait.
Right.
That word, I think, has taken over at this point.
Probably. Yeah, that would make sense. Yeah, and I think the thing with clickbait too is it's dangerous because you can so quickly now spread false and incorrect information. Mm-hmm. And if it's clickbaity, you better believe it's going to go viral. You know?
Sure.
There's a couple, when we had Zach P., the YouTuber from China, on a few episodes back.
He loves a good clickbaity title.
He has some, well, I still watch all his videos. I really like his videos. But but we were talking about some other Chinese YouTubers, Westerners that, their channels are about China. Mm-hmm. And they also have very clickbaity titles. I mean, they have tons of subscribers and, probably no reason why. They have good content too, but I think the whole point of clickbait is you have to be aware, is this really worth reading?
Yeah.
And sometimes to me, if I have to ask myself that question, the fact I have to ask it alone means it's not worth reading. Does that make sense?
I guess so. The fact that you're even at that point where you're questioning it, where it's like, this is probably BS.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Go with your gut.
Right. And for me, if I see a headline that I think is something out of like The Onion, we had a wasp fly by. If I see a headline, I'm like, could this be from The Onion? A lot of times I won't read it. Just
The Onion's not even parody anymore, dude.
It's not.
It's
really
ridiculous
isn't.
how it'll be like, oh, The Onion just put this out 5 days ago, and now
Can you tell our listeners what The Onion is? Because not everybody is American who listens.
The Onion is a parody website. Well, they
satirical news.
They actually do write the news articles, but no one really. It's not even the articles. The articles are kind of dumb to me, to be honest with you.
It's supposed to be tongue in cheek, kind of goofy, silly.
But the headlines, the headlines are what are really the catching thing.
People
really
come for the headlines, like people come for the Super Bowl commercials.
But I think that's kind of funny because their whole point is like the ridiculousness of media. And it kind of, even though they're not, like, it's kind of proving their point in the ridiculousness of media by me saying I don't read the articles, I just look at the headline and that tells me all I need to know.
Right.
CDC guidelines says it's safe to play tennis if that's honestly how you want to spend your free time.
Right.
Cam Newton scrambling to get up to speed after Patriots send him playbook of every NFL team. Woman who hasn't attended protest yet, hoping police brutality still going on next week too. Teen flocks to new app where they just enter own personal data into form. That doesn't even sound like a joke.
Right. Good old Onion.
Silicon Valley billionaires unveil diversity initiative to replace 60% of own blood with transfusion from young people of color.
Oh, God.
That's hilarious.
Onion. Yep.
That's hilarious. And so I feel like that line, by the way, is really getting blurred between what's real on the Onion and what's fake.
Well, reality just seems so crazy right now with everything going on politically, with everything.
Is fake news new? Is that a new concept?
I think fake news. I think you could have seen fake news during the Red Scare in the U.S.
What's the Red Scare?
Google it. I'm surprised you don't know about this.
Do you not know what it is either? Why can't you just tell me
I do know what
it
is.
Why do I have to Google
I'm
it?
really curious how you don't. The Red Scare was the McCarthy era, where they were afraid of communists.
Okay. I
The
remember
Red Scare.
McCarthyism. Yeah.
So it was this idea that, well, if you're an American and you're a communist, you're an enemy to the country and blah, blah, blah.
So was this like the post World War II thing, like between
this was
up to
War.
like the Cold War?
This was Cold War,
Okay.
yeah, or before Cold War, I think.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, the 50s, I think. But yeah, so my whole point for that though is I think there was probably a lot of fake news going around back then too.
Sure.
You know,
Yeah.
all sorts of I think
Probably even easier back then. Who's going to prove it? How are you going to prove it?
Yes. However, I would argue that it's easier now. It's more accessible.
That's true. That's
nowadays.
a good point. That's a good point.
Because not everybody back then, I bet you, was even a proficient reader or had access to a newspaper.
Yeah.
Whereas nowadays, almost anybody, most people, have some type of phone or something, and they can access the news.
Yeah.
TV, phone. I mean,
that's true.
Back then it was what you had probably. In the 50s, did they have TV in the 50s?
I don't know, but
they had radio.
They had radio.
They had radio for sure. So you got radio. They had newspapers.
Yeah.
Potentially, maybe TV, and that's it. Maybe. Clearly, I need to get out.
But I don't think TV was hot in the 50s. I feel like if they did have TV,
had like
that was
channels.
early. That was super
two
early.
channels.
But yeah, it was mostly probably at that point radio and newspaper. Yeah.
Right.
Well, how do you feel about?
But that again, Jared, tells us why media literacy is so important now, because we have so many different types of media coming at you.
Right.
And so many different ways to digest it, internalize it, analyze it, criticize it, all that stuff.
Yeah. Oh shit! I forgot what I was gonna say.
Sorry.
No. That's okay. You rounded it out. Did I write it down? This is not what I was gonna say, but I find a surprising amount of typos in articles these days.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's happening more because it's on the internet. But I feel like I'm finding a lot more typos where I'm like, even that thing that, I don't know. I was like, why am I finding so many typos? And they seem like sort of like not even just a word here. It's like, oh, this is pretty noticeable.
Right.
But I feel like maybe that's just part of like it's more of a churning process. We have to churn stuff out.
Right. Well, that's the thing. I feel like the media now, it's like a machine. I mean, I guess it always has been, but that's why it's so important to know how to interact and engage with media, because I think on one extreme, it can get you totally down. Mm-hmm. On another extreme, it can get you like totally in this bubble where you think your view is completely right and completely validated, and no one can tell you otherwise. I think this is for conservative people and liberal people, and so it's really important that we look at media and look at it with a critical lens and not be afraid to say, well, is that really true? Or is that just someone's opinion? And also, I think the big question that most of the time that we need to ask when we see an article is, who's writing it? Who's funding the writing? And who are they really writing for?
That's hard to find, though, especially the funding.
Right. Well,
thing.
Sure.
Because there is what you were alluding to earlier was that so a lot of the local news stations are owned by like 2 or 3 mostly conservative companies, and so like they're telling local news. But every now and again, maybe they'll tell national news or even whatever the local news is, and they'll force them to follow a specific format or follow a specific narrative, or like support a specific side. If you still want to get funding, if you still want to have a job, then you need to support the side that we tell you, because we pay your checks, and so it's just showing that we don't even like who can we believe if like 2 or 3 companies are controlling the narrative and specifically telling you what to say.
But that's the great thing, and I guess the dangerous thing about social media, is the fact that nowadays we are able to easily voice our thoughts and opinions and clown on people and troll people and say, well, that isn't true,
I used to a lot of my diversity in media, as far in opinions, I would say, especially political opinions I don't agree with, it used to come from podcasts. I used to listen to a lot more podcasts where I just wholeheartedly disagreed with what the people said. But it gets exhausting,
Sure.
Like, and it's kind of aggravating sometimes, and I'm like, why am I just getting angry listening to this? And so, like, I've kind of cut back on that a lot these days. But like, I used to do it a lot more, and I'm like, why am I putting myself through this?
Right. Well, I think the reason why was because you were trying to get a balanced view. You know, I think you and I, as guys who have traveled, who are I think hopefully becoming good men as we grow up, you know, as we become adults. I was hoping you'd have some cool drop for that. But I think the thing is you have to be aware of things. And I really think it's admirable that you are even considering listening to the other side. There are so many people who are not willing to do that, and it is exhausting. It is tiring. And I think the reason why you did that was because you wanted to get a better view on things.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think people do that unless you enjoy, I guess, being aggravated, but I know you're not the type of guy who enjoys it. So.
But I think you can help mold your, and I hate to say argument, because it's me going back to proving an argument really just shows the state of at least my social media setup, where it's all just like an argument, and it's all just like people trying to prove stuff that people don't even want to believe. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And it's just like, I forgot what I was gonna say, but like I don't know. It's just. I almost find myself in a place where I'm forced to curate what I want, and I feel like I need to know both sides.
Right.
But sometimes I'm like, can I even believe what these people are saying?
Right.
Or or I need to be able to properly form my argument by even knowing how. Not an argument. Like I need to properly form my view by even knowing what the other view would say. You know.
Yeah.
But it is exhausting if I wholeheartedly agree with people. And it's just like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
And it's not worth it. It's not worth your time and your energy.
Yeah.
But yeah. Well, Jared, I think we should talk about our song of the pod today, because it is a good one. And actually was my motivation for doing this episode today. The song is called America by the German group Rammstein. I roll my R because he rolls his R in the song quite a bit.
Yes.
It's a good one. I guess we might as well, I like it in the background when we talk about it, because it helps me remember a little. You know, we're getting old. We can't remember everything.
I just randomly started playing the song. I don't know it, but I saw it and I was like, oh, maybe this will fit what we're talking about. And then Chad was like, oh, this is how I even thought of this episode, was playing the song in the car the other day. That the world is lucky to have us is kind of the vibe I got from it.
And the fact that we are so willing to spread American culture all over.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it spreads and spreads and spreads, and we don't think of the ramifications.
Right.
You know, when you have another culture come in, it becomes a more popular culture, you start to lose bits of the old culture. And it's a shame. I mean, the fact that you see, you know, there's not many places in the world now that you can go and there isn't some type of McDonald's or KFC
Subway,
or Burger King.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. But I like this song, too, because I think it...
And then he also mentions Coca-Cola.
Yeah, Coca-Cola.
And sometimes war.
Yeah, which is a big thing we do in the U.S., which also has to do with media as well. I think influences our opinions on war and what we're doing.
I mean, I think there's a huge part of our media that's focused, and I think that's part of like military people are hero. A lot of that narrative is sort of justifying war.
Right.
Where it's like, look at them saving us, keeping us safe, which is true to a certain extent. But we're led to believe that there are these foreign sort of threats that we need to be so afraid of. When it's like, well, is it that we need to be afraid of it, or is there actually some sort of financial motive here? Right.
Well, and the other reason why I really enjoy this song is because I think it's kind of sarcastic. Too.
Sure, of course.
You know, the hook is "We're all living in America." It's wunderbar, which is German for wonderful, as Jared mentioned.
And like he's like first of all, it shows him in a bunch of different countries, like Africa. Not a bunch of different countries, very specific countries, I should say, like Africa, and they're like dancing, and then he shows like Native American people dancing.
Right.
And like it's sort of like all trying to like allude to like hey, look, Native Americans are living in America and they love it here, or like which obviously is
sarcastic.
Sarcasm.
Yeah.
We're like, look, he's like, look, African people are so happy to be bombarded with African culture and
American culture.
With American culture, and it's just, you know, kind of alluding a little bit to slavery, I would say, a little bit to the genocide of Native Americans.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I mean, now really, now you're in our America, whatever that means.
It's a heavy, it's kind of a lighthearted song with a very heavy message.
Especially if you look at watch the music video too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because obviously you can probably understand a lot of that just from hearing the words.
Yeah.
But the music video really puts it in your face.
Well, and the lyrics of the song, though, Jared, also show this push for influence. You know,
Yeah.
when you dance,
They're on the
I
moon.
lead.
But for a lot of it, they're
Right, right.
like playing on the moon
Right.
for a
Well,
lot of it.
Right. Yeah, the space race.
Mhm.
But also, I'm saying the lyrics themselves. He says, "When you dance, I lead, even when you're turning by yourself." So it means even when you're alone, I'm going to tell you when to turn and how to turn. So I think this kind of goes into influence, and I think media is a big influence. On a lot of this.
And what
too.
you just said was really a great way to sum up media. Is like we it's like, yeah, we want you to have your opinions, but we're forming those opinions for you.
Yeah, we're gonna spoon feed you what we want you to know.
Because
Exactly.
a lot of news today is not even news, but it's like this is bad, or this is good, or this is what these bad people are doing, or this
It's
is
to
what
tell you
these
how to
good
feel or how to
people are
think.
doing.
Right.
Yeah, that's
Right. And I think the role of news is to not tell you how to feel or how to think, but to tell you
What's
in a
happening.
factual manner exactly what's happening. So.
Mhm.
So we hope this episode helped you all a little bit with your media literacy, your media lit, as the cool kids say, keeping it lit.
Seeing media lit, third
That's
period.
Right. That is right. Let us know, though, what media you like and where you get your news from at untranslatablepodcast@gmail.com. You can also check us out on Twitter if you'd like to get your news there, Untranslatable1, the number 1. Slide into our DMs on Instagram as well. You can see beautiful backgrounds, some clips, and some pictures of our beautiful faces, so check that out. And lastly, please, 5-star reviews on iTunes and Stitcher. Let us know how we can make this podcast better for you. So, as we say here at the Untranslatable Podcast, dziękujemy, muchas gracias, shisha, and do svidania. Yeah, crank it up, Jared. Crank it, baby. Turn the music in, the headphones up. I guess it. You're sitting here with the monitors on, you're like, it's already too loud. Oh, it's good stuff right there.
Yeah. Yeah,
getting hot.
my only media
Hot.
source is Twitter, really.
Yep. You're a Twitter kind of guy, Jared.
Yeah.
Does that mean you're a twat? Oh!
But sometimes I do. Sometimes I do scroll through like accounts that I'm like, this is gonna be some bullshit.
Right. Oh,
but
for
it is
sure.
interesting to see what they're like retweeting and stuff. You're like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, all right.
You should check out that Chad guy's Twitter. He's been retweeting some pretty
Chad?
fire,
Oh,
untranslatable stuff. Check that out, Untranslatable
went over
on
my
Twitter.
head.
Boom, boom.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why, though, dude, because I've been getting notifications for Twitter, so I've just been checking it.
Yeah. All right. I like it. Hey, I'm not complaining. I've been enjoying Twitter a little bit more than I usually